When the United States entered the Second World War in December 1941, its armored forces were modest in size and largely untested in modern combat. Within 4 years, American industry had produced over 300,000 armored fighting vehicles, transforming the nation into the world's leading supplier of mechanized warfare equipment. These machines ranged from light scout cars to heavy siege tanks, from mobile artillery platforms to specialized recovery vehicles. Together, they formed the backbone of Allied mechanized operations across Europe, North Africa, and the Pacific. This is the complete catalog of armored vehicles that carried American forces through the most destructive conflict in human history. The most recognizable American armored vehicle of the war was the M4 Sherman medium tank. Developed in 1941 to replace the inadequate M3 Lee, the Sherman prioritized mechanical reliability and ease of production over heavy armor or firepower. Its 75mm main gun proved sufficient against most Axis armor in the early war years, though it struggled against German heavy tanks from 1943 onward. The Sherman's vertical hull design made it vulnerable to anti-tank fire, and its gasoline engine earned it a grim reputation for catching fire when penetrated. Despite these shortcomings, the tank's dependability and crew survivability features made it the workhorse of American armored divisions. Over 49,000 were built. The M4A3E8 Sherman, known as the Easy 8, addressed many of the original design's deficiencies. Introduced in late 1944, it featured wider tracks for improved cross-country mobility, a more powerful engine, and better suspension. The upgraded 76mm gun could engage German Panthers and Tigers with greater effectiveness. Though it arrived too late to see widespread action, the Easy 8 represented the culmination of American medium tank development during the war. For heavy breakthrough operations, the United States fielded the M26 Pershing. Development began in 1942, but bureaucratic delays and doctrinal disagreements postponed its deployment until the final months of the European campaign. The Pershing mounted a 90mm gun capable of defeating German heavy armor and featured significantly thicker frontal protection than the Sherman. Only 20 Pershings saw combat in Europe, but their performance validated the heavy tank concept and influenced post-war American armor doctrine. The M3 Lee medium tank served as a transitional design before the Sherman entered production. Its hull-mounted 75mm gun and turret-mounted 37mm gun created an awkward silhouette that exposed crews to enemy fire. The Lee performed adequately in North Africa against German and Italian forces, but was quickly relegated to secondary theaters and training duties once Shermans became available. Over 6,000 were manufactured, with many sent to British and Soviet forces under Lend-Lease. Light tanks filled reconnaissance and exploitation roles throughout the conflict. The M3 Stuart, nicknamed the Honey by British crews, entered service in 1941 with a 37mm gun and relatively thin armor. Its speed and agility made it effective for scouting and infantry support in terrain unsuitable for heavier vehicles. The M5 Stuart replaced it in 1942 with improved automotive components, but retained the same armament. Both variants served extensively in the Pacific, where their lighter weight proved advantageous in jungle warfare. The M24 Chaffee light tank appeared in late 1944 with a 75mm gun and better armor protection, representing a significant advancement in the light tank category. American tank destroyer doctrine emphasized speed and firepower over armor protection. The M10 Wolverine mounted a 3-inch gun on a modified Sherman chassis with an open-top turret. This configuration allowed for rapid fire and crew escape but left the vehicle vulnerable to artillery and small arms. The M10 performed effectively in defensive operations and ambush tactics. Nearly 6,500 were produced. The M18 Hellcat took the tank destroyer concept to its logical extreme. With a top speed exceeding 50 miles per hour, it was the fastest tracked armored vehicle of the war. Its 76mm gun could penetrate most German armor at combat ranges, and its mobility allowed crews to strike and relocate before receiving counter-fire. The Hellcat's thin armor made it unsuitable for sustained engagement, but its hit-and-run capabilities proved devastating when properly employed. For heavier firepower, the M36 Jackson entered service in mid-1944. Its 90mm gun could reliably defeat German heavy tanks at range, addressing a critical deficiency in American anti-armor capabilities. The M36 used the same open-top turret configuration as earlier tank destroyers, maintaining the doctrine's emphasis on mobility and offensive firepower. Approximately 2,000 were built. The M3 gun motor carriage represented an early improvisation, mounting a 75mm gun on a half-track chassis. While it provided mobile anti-tank capability in the war's first years, its lack of armor and stability made it obsolete once purpose-built tank destroyers entered service. Self-propelled artillery gave armored divisions organic fire support capable of keeping pace with advancing tanks. The M7 Priest mounted a 105mm howitzer on a modified M3 tank chassis. Its open-top fighting compartment allowed for rapid ammunition handling, but exposed crews to airbursts and shrapnel. The Priest served with distinction in all theaters, providing responsive indirect fire for mechanized operations. The M8 Scott howitzer motor carriage filled a similar role at the battalion level. Built on the M5 Stuart chassis, it carried a 75mm howitzer for close-range infantry support. Its low profile and mobility made it valuable in urban combat and fortified positions. For air defense, the M15 and M16 multiple gun motor carriages provided mobile anti-aircraft protection. The M15 combined a 37mm autocannon with twin 50 caliber machine guns, while the M16 mounted 4 50 caliber guns and a powered turret. Both systems proved effective against low-flying aircraft and ground targets. The M19 gun motor carriage appeared late in the war with twin 40mm Bofors guns, offering improved range and hitting power. Half-tracks formed the backbone of American mechanized infantry formations. The M2 half-track served as the standard infantry carrier, transporting up to 10 soldiers with their equipment. Its front-wheel steering and rear-track propulsion provided reasonable cross-country mobility while maintaining speed on roads. The M3 variant featured slightly different dimensions, but served the same purpose. Both models were produced in vast numbers, with over 40,000 built. Specialized variants adapted the half-track chassis for numerous roles. The M4 mortar carrier mounted an 81mm mortar for indirect fire support. The M15 and M16 anti-aircraft versions provided convoy protection. The M21 mortar carrier used the longer M3 chassis for increased ammunition storage. Medical, communications, and command variants ensured that half-track mobility extended to all aspects of combined arms operations. The M5 and M9 half-track variants served as prime movers for artillery pieces, towing guns and carrying crews and ammunition. Their track rear ends provided excellent traction in mud and snow, making them indispensable for maintaining artillery mobility during adverse weather conditions. Armored reconnaissance vehicles gathered intelligence and screened advancing forces. The M8 Greyhound armored car mounted a 37mm gun in a small turret and reached speeds over 55 miles per hour on roads. Its six-wheel drive provided adequate cross-country performance, while its low profile reduced detection risk. The Greyhound served extensively in Europe and proved particularly valuable in rapid pursuit operations. The M20 armored utility car used the same chassis without the turret, serving as a command vehicle and scout car. Its open-top configuration allowed for observation and radio equipment installation. Both the M8 and M20 remained in service long after the war's conclusion. The earlier M3 Scout car saw limited combat use. Its open-top design and thin armor made it vulnerable to small arms fire, and it was largely replaced by the M8 Greyhound and armored half-tracks in frontline service. Unarmored and lightly armored utility vehicles provided essential mobility for commanders and liaison personnel. The ubiquitous Willys and B Jeep became the symbol of American military transportation, with over 600,000 produced. Its four-wheel drive and simple mechanics allowed it to traverse terrain impassable to conventional vehicles. The Jeep served in every role imaginable, from reconnaissance to ambulance duty. The Dodge WC series of trucks provided 3/4-ton and 1.5-ton cargo capacity with four-wheel drive. The WC-51 and WC-52 weapons carriers transported personnel and light equipment. while command variants featured radios and map tables. Over 250,000 WC series vehicles were manufactured. For heavy logistics, the GMC CCKW 2.5-ton truck formed the standard cargo carrier. Known as the Deuce and a Half or Jimmy, it moved ammunition, fuel, rations, and equipment to forward units under all conditions. Its six-wheel drive and rugged construction made it remarkably reliable. Over 500,000 were built, making it one of the most produced military vehicles in history. The Mack heavy truck provided 6-ton capacity for especially demanding loads, including bridging equipment and heavy artillery. The Diamond T Model 980 and 981 served as tank transporters, recovering disabled armor and moving vehicles to maintenance facilities. These specialized haulers kept armored units operational despite the mechanical strain of continuous campaigning. Specialized vehicles addressed unique battlefield requirements. The M4 Sherman tank with a T1E3 flotation device, known as the DD Sherman, could propel itself through water using inflatable canvas screens and propellers. These amphibious tanks led the assault at Normandy, though many sank in rough seas before reaching shore. The M4 Dozer tank mounted a hydraulic bulldozer blade for clearing obstacles and preparing defensive positions. Engineer battalions used these vehicles extensively in both construction and combat operations. Flamethrower-equipped Shermans, designated M4 Crocodile or Satan, projected burning fuel to clear fortifications and bunkers, seeing extensive use in the Pacific Theater. The M32 tank recovery vehicle converted Sherman chassis into armored recovery platforms. Equipped with winches, cranes, and welding equipment, these vehicles retrieved damaged tanks under fire and performed field repairs. Their importance to maintaining operational readiness cannot be overstated. The T-28 Super Heavy tank represented an experimental approach to fortification assault. Developed to breach German defensive lines, it mounted a 105mm gun and armor up to 12 inches thick. Only 2 prototypes were completed, and neither saw combat. The war's end rendered such specialized siege vehicles unnecessary. Motorcycle units provided rapid communication and reconnaissance. The Harley-Davidson WWII military motorcycle saw extensive service as a messenger vehicle and military police mount, with over 88,000 produced.